Hi, welcome to the Second Rainbow Coalition Reading Group. We are reading Voices of the Revolution by Johnny Torres, and we're going to start things off today with the Second Rainbow Coalition Statement of Unity. Comrade Shanti, you have the floor.
Okay, bet. Preface. The U.S. was founded as a colonial settler state based upon white supremacy and slavery, stealing the lands of the indigenous nations, breaking every treaty made with them, and confining them to reservations or concentration camps. As the country became more powerful, the eagle sunk its claws into other nations, making war on Mexico and grabbing its northern territory, invading Cuba, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and the Philippines, and either annexing them outright or making them colonies or neo-colonies. And in the 20th century, it became the major imperialist power in the world, exploiting both the people within its boundaries and those in every other country, bullying them with military interventions and robbing them of their right to self-determination. As Huey P. Newton stated, we have two enemies to fight, racism and capitalism. Between the two, capitalism is primary. Racism is a byproduct of capitalism. The working people of the world of every ethnicity or nationality face a common enemy that is destroying life on Earth. Our enemy is a small ruling class of property owners controlling most of the world's wealth and resources. We must have our basic needs met to live a good and meaningful life. Food, shelter, healthcare, education, freedom from oppression by the state, and peace with other nations. To obtain these essential things for life, we must have the power to see to it that the abundance that is available is shared equitably. Statement of Unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition. The legacy of the First Rainbow Coalition dates back to its founding on April 4th, 1969, by the original Black Panther Party, original Young Lords, and Young Patriots organization. A number of other organizations joined this coalition not too long afterwards, such as the American Indian Movement, Brown Berets, Rising Up Angry, the Red Guards, and others. Since the founding of the United States, the masses have developed a number of popular movements that came together to fight back against this capitalist imperialist system in various ways around particular demands. Nevertheless, none had established a movement quite like the First Rainbow Coalition. This historic movement was the first of its kind that established a model of class struggle like no other. Its charismatic leader, Chairman Fred Hampton of the Illinois chapter of the original Black Panther Party, stated that at the end of the day, we weren't engaged in a so-called race struggle. He said that it's a class struggle, goddammit. By uniting with the various oppressed ethnicities and masses, they were able to bridge the gap between the various ethnic communities that white supremacy had long sought to keep divided. This class solidarity equipped them with the material basis and class consciousness to see their common class condition, therefore the necessity to form a united front against their common class oppressor, the capitalist imperialist ruling class. The ruling class viewed this as the greatest threat to their class rule, and subsequently used the entire repressive forces of the state, whereas the police, courts, jails, prisons, and intelligence agencies, etc., in order to crush this emerging revolutionary socialist movement. We refounded the Rainbow Coalition on May 14, 2021, with the intent of upholding the legacy of the original Rainbow Coalition. We believe that this historic example is the model for the united front that will best serve our class liberation. By upholding the 10-point program of the original Black Panther Party, which was subsequently adopted and later expanded by the original Young Lords, Young Patriots organization, and all other original Rainbow Coalition members, we established our programmatic unity. The 6 disciplinary rules that we uphold ties all organizations in our coalition to a common professional discipline. History has bestowed upon our generation a common class mission to fulfill. The representatives of the capitalist imperialist ruling class, represented by the Democratic Party and Republican Party, cannot liberate us. It is their class intention and interest to uphold our common class oppression. Therefore, it is only we, the oppressed masses of all ethnicities and nationalities, who must build the necessary class solidarity, class consciousness, organizational structures, and a united front that will ultimately liberate us. This is what the Second Rainbow Coalition is committed to. This is the historic mission we intend to fulfill. Dare to struggle, dare to win. Hashtag all power to the people. Hashtag boots on the ground. All members of the coalition include the New African Black Panther Party, the White Panther Party, the Green Party of New Jersey, the Poor People's Army, La Mesa Nacional de Brown Berets, NASA, or the North Alabama School for Organizers, the New Area Young Lords, and the American Indian Movement Northeast Woodland Chapter. The 6 disciplinary rules. 1. Members will conduct themselves in a manner to bring credit to the coalition and will treat others with respect and politeness. 2. Members will be sober when on Rainbow Coalition business and will not engage in any criminal activity while a member. 3. No member will engage in violence except in the extremity of self-defense. 4. Members will not gossip nor be divisive to the unity of the Second Rainbow Coalition. 5. Members will not act as informers nor work against the purpose of the Second Rainbow Coalition. And 6. Nobody is authorized to speak for the Second Rainbow Coalition unless authorized to do so. And that is a statement of unity.
Thank you, comrade. All right. There we go. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. All right, we're kicking today off on page 123 at Break the Chains. I spit the code for the defiant, not reliant, ripping science, when we build in the alliance upon the common enemy to bust these rhymes heavily. With resistance every instant, I envision that we ride on the system like right between the eyes, more like the consciousness upon this hit. Lyrical activista, or more like a realista. When they call it radicalista, we're down with the Zapatista. Move the masses for justicia. Through art like muralista, ready to fight the colonistas. I strike like Lapu Lapu on the mic, and then flip the script up. Indigenous and limitless, no gimmickness, I finish this. In sentences, dispensing kid. On another dimension, pump the gas and smash on tension. Did I mention? Bounce or drop like suspensions. Shots and spots, blocks are hot. It's all displacement. Survival's steady adjacent to the curb. It's organization. We need and bleed with patience. What's the location? Foes are agents, non-complacent. Leaving abrasions, change the station. For self-determination, or we face an extermination. So I spit with dedication, psychological meditation. To formulate, articulate, and implement, devise a plan. Strategize and organize, resist, and open up minds you can. Progress, effective change, push, succeed, and raise your fist. Break the chains to educate, to sow the seeds and liberate. To formulate, articulate, and implement, devise a plan. Strategize and organize, resist, and open up minds you can. Progress, effective change, push, succeed, and raise your fist. Break the chains to educate, to sow the seeds, and liberate. Hashid G. Flo Kasama. That's what's up. I dig it. That's a good poem.
That's so cool.
Yeah, one my Brown Beret brothers in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good at doing writing. So
Yeah, that was pretty dope.
yeah, I don't know if he wrote two, because he wrote he wrote the early piece with Tina when they wrote about one of their mentors. So he already wrote a piece with he combined his thoughts and everything to one to something. Then he wrote his own thing. So I thought that was cool. He was part of the beginning, and now he's right here. So
So I dig it. That would be a perfect piece for an open mic night poetry jam.
Oh yeah.
Well, who wants to take a turn and read the next poem? Anybody? If not, I'll keep going. Breathe. No matter how hard life gets, you got this. If you just breathe, inhale, exhale, and reach down deep inside yourself. Where the most potent magic is made of, you will find that every rut, every problem has an answer, has a solution. You're never alone in your suffering, even when it feels that you cannot see anything but darkness around you. Reach inside and you will find the light to shine onto all the darkness. Build a fire and pray. Build an inipi and pray. Dance for the elements and pray. Smoke your kinyupa and pray. Converse with ancestor relatives, rivers, mountains, sea, earth, sky, father, sun, and grandmother moon, and pray. Whatever you do, do not let others make you lose yourself and act out of character. Do not let them break you and who you truly are. Honor yourself. Be you. You are gentle, kind, and caring. Let every action you make be dictated out of a love so intelligent and an endless stream of gratitude, and as such, honor your relations. Life can be hard, and the old ways even harder, but wield a sword like belief with an armor like faith, and you are destined to overcome and light up the darkness every step of your journey. I'm not sure how to pronounce their name. Shipil.
Yoloto. Yolot.
Okay, thank you, comrade. Yolot?
Yeah.
People Yolot. Okay. Beautiful name and a beautiful smile there to go with it.
Yeah, that was a good piece.
Joe, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, I believe Comrade Rafa just got back on. Hashid, the last poem we wrote is actually they're in the same unit in Fresno, California. And not only did Hashid really spit it down really nice, but I would say Rafa is probably the best to speak on behalf of Hashid and other things that he does in the community because he is very, very active. I don't know if Rafa has the time. I thought I seen him at the house already. If not, let's see what happens. Rafa?
He put in the other chat that he's getting his car fixed right now, but he's listening in.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Oh, yes, thank you. Well, he's Filipino too, and like he grew up in the Central Valley of California.
Ooh.
There's a lot of agricultural work, and I guess a lot of us may remember Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez doing a lot of work for the back in the days for the United Farm Workers and fighting for rights and that. But the Filipinos had a big play in that. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was a Filipino that actually started the fight for rights of farm workers in California. And then once they grew it, they took it on to Texas and other state agricultural states. But so yeah, I know he does a lot of work with that. Very, very inspiring comrade brother. And I wish I know. Okay, I see that Rafa's busy, but Rafa could say so much more about him. But I know he's definitely active. They just did a protests and stance for what's happening over there with Palestine and support of Palestine. That's one of the recent things I've seen them doing. Just very, very active, very inspirational, and a good, solid comrade. That's all. And I don't know this person that wrote this last one, but I appreciated it also.
Thank you, comrade. Would anybody else like to take a turn reading? Shanti, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, I can go. All
Beautiful. Thank you, comrade.
right. Brown Beret bloodline. My grandpa was part of the Huasteco tribe from Tuxpan, Veracruz. That is a huge part of my bloodline. I do have other bloodlines, but like I've always said, I'm not there or from there, so that's irrelevant to me. I'm on this beautiful continent, and that's where I'm from. I was born in La Grande de Nochiclen, El Barrio de Azcapotzalco, Tepaneca territory, way before the Aztecs arrived there. My parents are from there too. My youth was spent in the barrios of Tenochtitlan and Little Village Mexica in Chicago. I believe that most Brown Berets can say that the Black Panthers inspired them to action. I live in Chicago, a city that is constantly making history with political uprisings and leaders like the martyrs of Chicago, the Chairman Fred Hampton and Chacha Jimenez. There are many heroes that inspired me. For example, Artlawanis like Cuauhtémoc, Cuellar, Tupac Maru, Crazy Horse, Geronimo, Emiliano Zapata, Ricardo Flores Magon, Che Guevara, Lucio Cabañas, Chairman Fred Hampton, Los Zapatistas, Los Yaquis. I could probably keep going, as we have many, but I don't want to leave out the regular everyday heroes in the struggle. The ones that work hard to provide for their families. They push through the oppression they face every day and continue to persevere. They are a strong inspiration for me because I see them every day, and that reminds me of how strong our people and culture are. Something impossible to destroy. The situation that led me to become a Brown Beret was when children were beginning to be imprisoned, placing them in those inhumane conditions. If our society continues to live their lives as though this is not happening, it reveals how big the problem truly is. I consider myself blessed and wish I could just look the other way and pretend that it is not happening. But I can't, but I simply cannot. We've had 11 concentration camps for children here in Chicago, and with the help of many comrades and organizations for years now, we've placed constant pressure and succeeded in forcing them to close down some. We are down to 5 and will continue until they are all shut down. The support of all nationwide Brown Beret carnales and many comrades I work with closely is very inspiring. The new Era Young Lords Chicago chapter's chairman, Paul Mireles, my comrade, is always supporting other actions and means to educate, to help create better communities. We help educate and politicize the people, especially the new generation, as this is a key ingredient to maintain a permanent revolutionary movement. I do believe in the prophecies of this continent. And one thing I want to promote, and we together need to push for, is the return of Kupili of Moctezuma to Tenochtitlan. This is a prophecy that will happen, but we need to put pressure on the Vatican and the government of Austria for its return. That will be a sign for the teachers to come down from the mountains to prepare and educate the people about the beautiful red way of life that will save all humanity eventually and prepare us for the next prophecy to come. Kayot LBB. Oh yeah, I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Me too. Most of us here probably are. He's an awesome comrade.
I just realized it was.
Does anybody have any commentary about the author or this piece before we move on?
I just wanted to say, sorry about that.
No,
Angel,
no, you can go.
Angel is not only Brown Beret, but he's a world traveler, and he's got association of and associates all over the Americas. And he does more than just Brown Beret work, international work, and collaboration. So I'm really proud to have worked with him. He's also led La Mesa. So yeah, that's what I could say about Angel, or Chic, as he goes by nowadays. And I love Chicago. First time I met him, it was in New Mexico, but we went out to Chicago, and that was beautiful out there. He introduced us to what Chicago really is.
Right on.
Cool. Thank you, Comrade Rocco. Hey, Johnny, we're at one of yours. Do you want to read it? Johnny's still with us? Oh, his signal must have dropped.
Oh.
Aw. Okay. Well, does anybody else want to take a turn?
I can jump in there unless he comes back. I would definitely love to hear from him reading it, but let me try to mimic his thoughts.
It looks like he's back now.
I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
There
Yes.
you are.
Oh,
Oh, there you
perfect.
are. There you are.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just, for some reason, my computer froze up, and I was like, can everyone hear me? Okay.
No, it wasn't even showing you on the Zoom list anymore. And I was like, oh.
I'm like right at the time I'm supposed to read, my computer froze. Okay, here it goes. Brown Beret origin, Southeast Texas. I am Johnny Torres, a member of South Texas Brown Berets. I believe I must stand up and fight for injustices happening in this world. I strive to give a voice to the voiceless, to protest for the people who continue to suffer because of the patriarchy. I don't know, I pronounced that wrong. I love reading poetry at protests or at gatherings. I knew it would eventually motivate people to write their own stories about the struggle. The people who inspired me are Pancho Villa, Che Guevara, and John Trudell. These legends of the revolution never retired. Their spirits and kept on fighting. Now it's our turn to keep the revolution alive. We live in a world of white oppressors. It is up to us to create needed change in our communities. The color of skin does not matter, or where you come from. We're all part of one raza, la raza of the oppressed. Johnny Torres, Southeast Berets. So that was a good while ago when I wrote that, and I'm not in that group anymore. I'm part of Los Brown Berets, even though I still talk to them here in Houston and do protests. I'm just not part of it. I didn't want to change it for the book because that's who I was, you know. I still have solidarity with them, but I'm just in a different Brown Beret group now.
Beautiful. Thank you, comrade.
Okay, now it's time to read my poem.
There you are.
Yep. Yeah, that was my old outfit. I was the vice chairman of the group. I I really don't wear that vest anymore. I wear something else. I guess I'll wear it every time I do a protest here in Tusk, but if I'm somewhere else, I have to wear my Los Brown Berets gear, which I like. So ain't that something?
Well, they're both pretty flat, so hey, whatever.
Yeah.
I like your Che Guevara patch up there on the shoulder too.
Yeah. Okay. This poem is called Indigenous Blood. Back in the day, because of religious beliefs, religion caused men to burn women at the stake at their leisure. Today, more desperate to take over her womb, religion is annihilator. Make no mistake. The Catholic Church is strong because it's run by demons and pedophiles. All they worry over is their own blood money, not over the poor children who suffers at the hands of those who are supposed to protect them. We demand the release of all the records so our children truly rest in peace. Whenever our indigenous blood is spilled, you'll forever hear the wind cry of truth, and all these committed these hateful crimes will be haunted by their trauma. I will speak the truth regardless if it kills me. Too many fables and lies have piled up. All there is left to do is burn that motherfucker down. I have no sympathy for torched churches, especially when they have something gruesome to hide, or the tearing down of the statues of psychotic heroes, but the lives lost to these false prophets who wish to return. All the considered privileged people sobbing over their supposed martyrs. This is being demolished. If your child were kidnapped, beaten, raped, or murdered, would you then want the guilty person responsible to be glorified? The queen reign is over, so off with her head. Reality is oppression to the oppressor. The churches themselves burn down their churches to torch their lies to dust. Our children's bones, which the church failed to hide, our ashes and bones remain. Why Jesus has much to explain. Let the churches burn and crumble for the guilty who murdered our babies, babies who could not understand, babies of the oppressed. We deserve better. You burned our innocent children's bones. Their souls have spoken and revealed our direction. Fuck the murderous monarch for spilling our indigenous blood. Johnny Torres, Houston, Texas.
That is fucking powerful. Much needed to call out those fucking church schools. They've done nothing but kidnap children for years and murder them left and right and try to fucking hide it. And it's just amazing the audacity of the public to pay no mind to people talking about this until a couple of years ago when they started finding these mass graves at those church schools.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I'm glad I covered that.
Is this another of yours, Johnny?
No, that's somebody else who writes really good.
Okay. Does anybody else want to take a turn reading?
I was going to recommend Yesenia on this, as being that it's a Chicana poem. It'd probably sound nicer from a comrade sister, if she's available.
Yeah. Yes, sorry, I was just waiting for the dogs to kind of stop barking. But I just wanted to comment that I did enjoy Johnny's piece. Always has powerful imagery and brings truth and light to our dark history and past and the atrocities that have happened to us. But it's amazing still to be, for all of us to still be here, the descendants, and surviving and trying to thrive and trying to make the world better. And everything's going to come to light. The positive thing about media is that the stories are shared. People can look it up. There's more access to information as long as the government doesn't cut us completely off about the children being uncovered, being, I guess, given a final resting place and acknowledged. And they may be unmarked graves, but at least their spirits can rest. And it took a lot for us to be converted first to Mexicans to speak Spanish, and then converted to speaking English. And just for our existence, we were killed and hung as well here in all over the Southwest. And a lot of that gets erased. But the land still remembers. And I always feel like with Johnny's pieces, the ancestors speak through him and they share their stories and they share their truths. That way we can learn from it, grow from it, and remember them. So that's all I had to say on that piece.
All power. Thank you, Carmen.
Okay, but she was just a Chicana. I am alone. My Chicana daughter is dead. I sought justice on her behalf. I presented to the white authorities smoking gun evidence against her white assassins to investigate her homicide and bring her murderers to justice. But she was just a Chicana, and her assassins are white. She was disposable, she was insignificant, she was brown like her family, no investigation necessary. It's just an accident. I am alone. I cry to be the creator of all, to bring my amada justice. My Amanda justice, but she was just a Chicana of no value in our white world, like a flat tire quickly replaced with another. No one cares, no loss in pace. She's invisible now, buried with the evidence of our racist crimes. She was one of many discarded by the wayside after use to conceal our crimes. With rationalizations and justifications for our endless stream of evils, go back to your polytheism gods. Maybe you'll find forgiveness. I have none to offer. I am alone in my anguish and grief, in my rage and contempt, my heart bleeding. You stole my Amanda from me and let her white killers go free. She was a daughter of La Raza. She was my daughter, her radiant bronze-toned skin, her long raven black hair that glistened in the sunlight, her almond eyes of dark complexion. She was beautiful by all measures. She only wanted to assimilate into our fucked up white society. I warned her to be careful of the white man's treachery. She didn't listen because I am white, and now you have murdered her because she was a Chicana. I pray to God to help me exact recognition, restitution, and healing por mi amada familia de la raza, in honor of my Amanda. I am so ashamed of our white crimes, our atrocities and thieveries, our lies and deceptions, our hate and violence, our frauds and corruptions, our lust for power and control, our massacres and genocides, our dominations and oppressions, our exploitations and forced labors. Ya basta ahora. My heart bleeds for my Amanda. I want her back. I want to look into her smiling eyes, to hear her laughter and excitement, to feel her loving hugs and glances, to listen again to her endless questions, always laughing and giggling, to taste her creative cooking, to witness her discoveries and watch her grow into a lady, so delightfully alive and compassionate. She was my daughter, my only daughter of Mexican-American heritage. She was your daughter too, mi traza, and a most beautiful child of God, who became just another victim of our hate because she was just a Chicana. Samuel Ralph Allen III, aka Pancho Allende. Dang. And that happens to so many of our communities, is being murdered, being killed, kidnapped, stuck in abusive relationships where you're isolated and cut off from family and support. So parents experience death in many ways. And I feel like my mom, she went through that. She did lose my brother. He was in a car accident, but it's alcoholism that we lost 3 lives, 3 fathers. So now my nieces, they grew up with the dad, and he would have been a grandpa now. But I know he's still watching over us. He's still with us, guiding us and protecting us. I just can't imagine myself going through that with kids. And that's another reason why I don't have kids. Just wouldn't want to bring anyone into this kind of world, but it's it's a sad reality that our communities have to face and have had to face for centuries. And that's all.
Thank you, comrade. It's one of the things that really infuriates me when I see cases like that of justice not even being pursued at all by the system because they don't fucking care. And it applies across the board, whether you even know what happened to your child or whether your child is one of the many missing. And the system just doesn't fucking care. And it's about time we make them care. Would anybody else like to take a turn reading?
I can read if nobody else is.
Listen, thank you.
Okay. The Brown Americans, a poem about liberty and justice. Loving memory of my daughter, Amanda Brooke Cordova, 1994 to 2016. Wow. We lay down your highways and sewer lines. We build your homes and bridges in all sorts of inclement weather. We mine your ores and ship your freight. We clean your bathrooms, cook your meals. We teach your small children the mysteries of life and give them laughter and joy. Our soldiers fight honorably in your American wars and die upon foreign battlefields with you. We shed our blood from the freedom of all. We mourn our losses with tears of grief. And our tears fall upon the American nation, where we bury our dead next to yours. Yet we are Hispanic Americans, not invited to sit with you at the table of justice or brotherhood. We are lessers and discounted in the participation of the democratic process. We suffer the pain of rejection. You say we are a distant race, but only a cultural heritage, who are not qualified to receive civil right protections or the rights and privileges of laws granted to others. We are brown, but you say we are Caucasians upon our birth certificates. Yet do you not treat us as Caucasians? We are La Raza Unida, and we seek the equal recognition and respect. Though we are the brown Americans, we are Americans just the same as you, who share in the same vision of the great land, of which we embrace as our homeland too. Pancho Allende, which is a friend of mine on Facebook. So I didn't really know he wrote this. So woo. This is really powerful.
Yeah.
And I kind of sent you a private message, Sister Zen. The first part, or maybe you could, if you could send just this this poem to me, so I can share with the mother of the daughter that I was mentioning yesterday that was killed at the hands of the Riverside Police Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
I think she would really benefit, and I'd like to invite her on here, but she's not part of any of our organizations. But this would definitely probably help her and uplift her. So hopefully I'll see her tomorrow also. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Yeah, I'll send that over to you after we wrap up here. Okay. Would anybody else like to take a turn?
I'll take one. I think I can.
Thank you, Rafa.
Café is my color. White and black, like day and night, or night and day. We in the middle, brown and proud, all day we stay. Negro y blanco, pinta normal. Ponga mi color y te sale especial. Special, I said. Yes, indeed. Hands and heads tilt up. Que pase with a lean. Latino, Mexicano, Chicano, Tejano. How sweet the sound. Viva la raza viva. Our color is brown. AKA Ruben R. Chavez.
Thank you, Kevin. That one was kind of short. If you want to read another one, you're welcome to.
Sure. Chicano homeland. We are taught by the colonizers their tierra is across the border. To not give the root to our existence, to deny our homeland. They need Aslan to look alien to us so they can see us as aliens. They had to establish man-made laws to deem us illegal on our own land. Those of us they allowed to stay as second-class citizens weren't worthy of the crumbs of Aslan. The Chicano homeland, inhabited by colonizers and their church, indoctrinating our minds, bodies, and spirits with the white supremacy and poison, serving us our peril and struggles, starving. We eat these plates clean with little thought of what we consume, sending our kids to unconsciously learn how to be a product of their societies, not caring which role they take on, the felon or the farmer, the cholo or the drug dealer. You see, the list goes on, and we all have labels which we are forced to embrace. Because of the subculture survival has created, but no matter how high the Chicano climbs the ladder, he will always sit alone. Capitalism will make sure of it. If not, all the backs he had to step over will fall into his pit or burn bridges, igniting the flames of selfishness, eating away at our society, one whitewashed Chicana at a time. But there is hope. Resistance is rising once more. Viva la causa, viva Aslan. We are here to reclaim what was taken from our ancestors, to fight by any means necessary for the liberation of our people and homeland. Long live the revolution, long live the revolution, long live the revolution. Asecatsin, Santana, Mission, Texas.
Very powerful. A powerful image to go with.
Brown Beret brothers from those Brown Berets.
And this is the last piece for today. If there's anybody that hasn't had a turn to read yet, who wants to go?
I'll do another one if you want.
Okay, go for it, comrade.
Chief Colonized speaks. There is a new generation, thinking like a nation and not a reservation. We have woke up to your Caucasian organization. We are frustrated with your foreign occupation. The cure to colonization is decolonization with a certificate of authentication. It's time to impose our native taxation on your foreign nation. We are thinking with meditation. It's a combination of spiritual revelations and spiritual foundations. There is a sensation in salvation. Without hesitation, we say no to your legislations. We say no to your regulations. We say no to your declarations. We say no to your foreign corporation. Our conversations are about conservation. Our world is dying of radiation. Our location is with all our relations, with creations, aho, see, the colonize.
Thank you, comrade. Was another powerful piece there too. These are beautiful, Johnny. I know I've told you that before, but I'll keep telling you. I love that you put all of this together so that we could get this insight.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. Like I said, I knew a lot of powerful, um, you know, revolutionary people, poets, and especially a lot of people who wrote poetry about healing. I believe, all of our voices mattered, and I wanted to put in a book that we can all share the experience together, so we can all grow, involved at the same time. And I think I already, see that with a lot of people who were involved and people who are reading, these pieces of origin stories and poetry. I'm pretty sure they're more than likely going to write their own story soon, or probably like, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. We know what happens to me when I read, things like this. And it definitely, really sets your mission and your vision to, like, a bigger way that everyone understands. So like, everyone played a role in that really good, and definitely, it's something that we all remember in this book, and all these words help us out, because there's so much stuff that's in here, and that's, more that yet to come. We're about to read, and we're already feeling, all this energy that's flowing through all of us. We can actually picture ourselves in, with these people right next to them as they're going through this stuff. So it's like we're reading this, so in a way they're not alone, because we're all going through this. We're all, sooner or later going to write our story, so the whole world can read it and know that we did what we all accomplished, and what, this whole revolution was all about. Because I feel like people have mixed emotions about what this whole revolution is all about. Some people don't see it as a protest; they see it as something else, maybe something else dangerous. But we're here to set the record straight, that, we actually are doing the work. We actually are making a difference, not by our actions, but definitely by our words as well. And that's why it's important to write things and read these parts of revolutionary work, because it does help us. Not just help us, but helps us heal. That's the whole point of most of this, because we all need to heal, and we all need to find time to move on to help others, but we also have to help ourselves as well. So I feel like this was, that book for that kind of reason. And I felt like even the second volume that comes out soon will be just as powerful. That's what you do. Every time you do something, you create something. Not if by art, you always try to make the next thing, the next piece, just, it's like you're testing yourself. You're like, okay, now I did this. Now I want to make something just as powerful, but something different. Get different people involved. Sometimes the same people come involved again because they have something different to say. So it's like, I definitely believe that these chapters that we just read, a lot of things that we all needed to hear, and that we feel right now. So it does bring me hope that we read this and we all love these kinds of people that we're reading, and we all could connect it to it at the same time. So thank you, all of you.
Thank you too, Johnny. All power.
You're welcome. It's all power.
Joe, I see you've got your hand up. Go ahead, comrade.
Yeah, I wanted to touch back on what Johnny was saying, and thanks for that inspirational talk right now, because you had asked me twice personally to write something for the last two books you've done, and I guess I second guessed myself, feeling that it wouldn't be something that I didn't really know. But after reading these individual poems and stories and biographies, it's really changed my idea and concept. And I should have never second guessed myself to begin with. I should have just wrote something. But if you make book 3, I'll be sure to write something in there. That's all.
Yeah. that should definitely, you should keep in mind, because book 3 is in the works at the moment. So it's like I am taking submissions. So, but definitely keep it in mind, because this is like a, you know, your next chance to actually, you know, do it, you know, since you kind of actually see the work that's been done and what everyone has been writing. Anybody can, you know, really do this, you know, have a soul to move forward with it. And I believe you do, amongst other people that are in this chat right now. And, you know, I've seen the people, you know, face to face to do the work, and, you know, they didn't really, you know, see it in themselves until I said something, you know, because it's okay if we don't see it right away. So eventually we end up noticing it sometimes by the people that are close to us, about the things that we're doing and how it touched their lives, you know. But it's like now we're not just doing things, we're actually writing it now, so people can actually so we're literally writing a blueprint for the next generation. That's what we're doing. And of love to have you there. You know, everyone that's part of the revolution, because we all got something different to say, but it's always going to be powerful. Always.
Indeed. All that. Thank you,
Right
Conrad.
on.
Thank you.
You wanted to say something, Sister Shanti?
Once again, it's very, very important that we uplift these people and these stories, because, we already have a vast collection of stories from so many different people in the struggle through the years. And, you know, it may have been lost in translation for, quite a long while, but now it's time to finally get it back into fruition, because the struggle is intensifying by the minute, especially what's going on right now in Palestine and in my homeland of Al Kibalan, where one of our ancestral homelands, the Congo, is bleeding and facing genocide again, King Leopold 2.0, if you want to know the truth. Um, so it's very important to have that solidarity and uplift these stories, because once again, we don't want to leave anyone out. Anyone with revolution on their mind has something to do in the revolution and in the struggle and the jihad. And it's very, very crucial that we do that, especially with the children, because now the children are really seeing, yeah, like this needs to go like for real now. And we have to back that up with uplifting these stories and these people, so that they know their destiny, so that we know our destiny, so that we can be able to unlock it, so that we can move the struggle forward, so that we can move revolution forward, not only for the survival of our people, but also for the self-determination and true justice of our people and for our ancestors that is at stake. So these stories definitely need to be uplifted, because that's the key that unlocks everything.
Agreed. Yeah, just as we were inspired by our predecessors and their writings that shed some light on the actual history that they lived through, everything that's being written today is going to be able to do the same for those coming in the future. And it's important. It's extremely important to be able to carry on that legacy. Anybody else got anything to add? Comrade Joe?
Yeah, I seen a post earlier about 3 immigrant laws that were passed in Texas today. I don't watch television or anything like that. Does anybody got anything to fill in on that? On what happened today? And if so, please share it. That's all.
I don't know, but if anybody else has any info on that, by all means, please grab the mic.
I think I know. I saw a story on my Insta. It's essentially, I haven't read the whole thing, but essentially it's probably a bit more worse, because the Texas state government has nothing to lose, And they also passed a law for criminalizing women, even though it's not just women that can be able to get abortions and be able to have children. Criminalizing them for leaving the state if they're going to get a safe, adequate abortion. And so, once again, the witch hunt, because they're in decay and they're coming after anyone and everyone is starting to see that everyone is a target, not just, the migrants. It was now the so-called patriots now, because that was the entire point. They made it where these so-called illegals are the problem, but it was the state government and the larger national bourgeois government that is pulling all the strings. And so I do know about the anti-abortion witch hunt law. I do not know much about the anti-migrant witch hunt laws, but essentially they have nothing to lose. So it's essentially because they're in decay. So that's all I know.
None of it comes as a surprise. I can't remember his name right now, but the new Republican Speaker of the House, I think it was.
Yeah.
I saw a quote from him the other day, and this is not verbatim, just loose quote, but he was basically saying, he wants to, force women to give birth in order to produce more able-bodied workers to uphold capitalism, and was basically trying to say that that's the only way to avoid the Republicans going and cutting more Social Security, welfare programs, etc. Of, well, no, you need to produce more babies for us if you want to keep your money that you've paid into these programs actually coming to you. So we're seeing these fascist takes across the board.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally all you need to know. They literally, every single person in the house, including our favorite dem sock Bernie, that y'all was standing 3 or 4 years ago, saying yes to uplifting Israel and demonizing protests and demonstrations by young people for Palestina.
Yeah. I saw that today. Actually, give me a second to open this up, and I can read a section of that to you guys. So the Senate unanimously adopted this resolution condemning the pro-Palestine student protesters as being, quote, in solidarity with Hamas and anti-Semitic, and I cannot fucking emphasize this enough, that it is Zionism that is and always has been anti-fucking Semitic. Palestinian people, whether they are of also Jewish, descent too, we're all Semites. There is no bloodline distinction between if you are Jewish or non-Jewish. If you are from the Arabian Peninsula, you are Semitic. Period. Fucking period. So the resolution calls to, quote, fully and completely support Israel in its war on Gaza. And when I read this shit, I just hear, a bratty child's voice saying, I want a law to make everyone have to agree with me. It's petulant. I see you left a comment here, Ralph. The new Speaker of the House believes in, quote, covenant marriage, where it would make it harder for women to divorce their husbands, basically keeping them hostage and enslaved to men. That's fucked.
Any more proof? I mean, really, any more proof? Any more proof?
The dude's a fascist. I mean, it's been made so fucking clear by all of these public statements, and wondering like, how the fuck did this guy even get voted in? But then again, it's a reflection on the constituents in his like voting bloc having the same type of fucked ideology that's misogynistic and oppressive.
Yeah, yeah, because they want to turn back the clock because they're in decay as we speak.
Right.
I mean, it literally has Bernie's name on it. Like, come on, guys. Stop lying.
The bill itself here, I've got a screenshot that a comrade sent me. It says, whereas students across the country have organized protests and vigils in solidarity with Hamas, with Palestinians, period.
With Palestine, okay?
Right. Okay, this idea that anybody who's Palestinian must be Hamas is as dumb as trying to say that all Christians are Westboro Baptist fascist fucks. No. With Palestine. Quote, praising the actions of the terrorist organization and chanting anti-Semitic slogans. Now, every colonized group that has ever fucking fought back against the colonizers has been labeled a terrorist by those colonizers in order to try to devalue them, to try to undermine their plight and their fight for their fucking self-determination. This is fucked.
Yeah.
Back to the text of the bill. Whereas the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation has warned of increased threats in the United States by actors inspired by Hamas, now therefore be it resolved that the Senate, one, fully and completely condemns the outrageous terrorist attacks by Hamas on the people of Israel, which resulted in the mass murder of civilians, including babies.
Lies.
Hold the fucking train. Why are we not condemning the terrorist actions of Israel too then? Yes, there's been Israeli deaths, and the IDF has already admitted that many of them were at the hands of the fucking IDF, not at the hands of any Palestinian. The IDF is bombing buildings where Israeli people are holed up hiding and then trying to blame it on Palestinians. They've acknowledged this publicly, that they themselves bombed those buildings rather than going in to quote unquote rescue them. And on the note of babies, in the last 3 weeks, over 7,000 Palestinians have been murdered, over 3,000 of them babies and children.
But we're the future, right? We're the future, right?
They're literally bombing a population that is over 50% children.
Half.
Who have no ability to defend themselves. None.
I mean, how the hell they're going to defend themselves and they can't even go a certain distance on their own land? Make that make sense again. But we're the future. I thought we were the future. I thought we were the bright light, right? But
that's pandering bullshit, though.
I mean, they've already cut off all communication as we speak, trying to salvage whatever power they have, trying to do all this ground invasion shit against the people, bombing them. I mean, the bombs have literally been the equivalent of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yes.
Like, come on. Really, guys?
Thousands of fucking bombs in 3 weeks. Thousands of bombs.
Like, come on. Like, do y'all want to keep lying, or do you want to keep go, or y'all want to go back to reality now? Because y'all's mouths can lie, but y'all's mind and spirit can't. Y'all lie on these kids. Y'all don't care for these kids.
Right.
And that's how we ended up here. Because y'all don't give a damn. And that's the truth. Y'all have not cared all your life. Y'all been ignoring, and demonizing us as if we're the freaking problem. But we have indigenous Congolese children, our ancestral peoples, being killed once again and exploited for cobalt, Once again being stripped dry by imperialist powers, the US, Canada, the UK, Germany, Italy. Like, I need y'all to stop lying.
The system is never gonna stop lying, honey. It thrives
No.
on that shit.
Oh, I know.
They'll fucking tell one massive lie and tell 10 more to fucking try to cover it up.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. They're not going to stop lying. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about a certain sector of the masses, us, that continue to lie on children's names.
Fair.
Y'all need to stop lying and keep our names out your mouth, because y'all don't know what the hell you're doing to yourself spiritually. Okay? Like, I'm not even going to ask Brown Jesus to give you a damn revelation. Like, I'm not even going to ask Jesus to give that for you, because I'm not a Christian, but I do know my damn history. I know my damn history. I know that. I know y'all lie on these children's names every single day as if we're the freaking problem. I know that. I know that.
Mhm.
I'm not going to do that no more. I'm not going to do it.
Honey, if anything, Brown Jesus would be putting a very large sandaled foot in that ass.
like I swear. Let me tell you something about children's lives real quick. What I'm not going to do is play Russian roulette with our life. What I'm not going to do is pussyfoot around, and y'all keep treating us as some debate topic, as if we're some freaking cattle on a string.
It's all part of that dehumanization.
Like y'all are so, like, your minds are so deep in mush. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, but that's okay. That's okay, because a lot of us are seeing through the BS now. There's nowhere to hide anymore. So, like, whether y'all want to keep lying, acting as if we made progress and, you know, like terrorists, whatever, we're not falling for that no more. This isn't 2001 no more. Y'all fell for that 22 years ago. We're not. And this is the first time that anything close to Hiroshima and Nagasaki has been made 100% public in action as we speak. And my best guess is, I think they wanted us to know. I think they wanted us to know all this time. Their grand closing. Imperialism's grand closing. Who gets to come out on top? Extermination or liberation? I think they wanted us to know this entire time, all these years, and we didn't even know it. If we want to know the truth, this is the same thing that is happening to African children, because Africa and Palestine are right next to each other. It's the same thing happening to Chicanos, to Boricuas, to the Kanaka Maoli children, to Fijian children, to the Aboriginals, to the Filipinos, to the Chinese lumpen, to the Chinese proletariat, under siege by a social imperialist state, which is what it is now. That's the truth. I'm once again, I'm not gonna pussyfoot around with the truth no more. I'm putting it out on the line for everyone here. Okay? Let me tell you something. Say what y'all want to say what you want to believe. You better keep our names out of your mouths if y'all don't care for us. If you don't care for our liberation, keep our names out of your mouths. Keep our names out of your mouths if y'all don't care. Because this is your tax dollars. This is your tax dollars that y'all want to keep having faith in. How's your precious little Demstock doing now? How's Harris doing? How is Biden doing? Genocide Joe.
Warmongering as usual. All the above.
That's it. Like the years of trying to pussyfoot around and trying to, get through to people that are willfully abiding in the extermination of children, that is where the line has been way beyond crossed now, because now there's a list of 7,000 people, thanks to your tax dollars, 212 pages of your tax dollars into genocide. And we want to keep thinking that this is okay. We want to keep thinking that we made all this progress and hoopla and all this stuff. Meanwhile, they will kill you next because they have nothing to lose. So,
no, they look at it as they have everything to gain, because their goal there is economic power.
yeah,
Profitable for them to wage endless fucking wars, because then they can siphon our tax dollars straight into the pockets of their corporate cock-sucking, warmongering fucking buddies businesses, and pay them to produce all the arms, pay them to produce tanks, pay them to produce the gear, like, your plates and Kevlar and shit, pay them to produce all of that and keep that vicious cycle going. They don't care who fucking dies. They don't care that children are dying by the fucking thousands.
they don't care that it's climate change going on because of them.
Fuck no. They care about how much they can make right fucking now, not if there's a world for anybody else to fucking live in another generation or two.
Right. And the only thing is, it's, they are pushing they are brainwashing whomever they could. I mean, we just had a mass shooting in Maine, in a town that is largely Somalian migrants. Migrants leaving their own indigenous homeland because of what the US have done, what Europe has done to their land.
The Somali immigrants there have faced so much shit from day one, because Maine is like 98-99% white, and that right there is one of the hothouses for these neo-Nazi groups that have been popping up all over New England, and ones like NSC 131 and fucking Proud Boys and all of them. They have been harassing these Somalian communities from the fucking start.
Right. And
for existing.
They don't care about them either. If we want to know the truth, they don't care about them either. This place cares for nobody. It cares for no one. It doesn't matter how loyal of a white supremacist they are. They don't care for them. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Give them their material needs, decolonize them, and give them a platform in which they can be able to rediscover where they actually came from, because they're not from some white place. We know that. But once again, they don't care, because that's the whole point. That's the whole point. This has been a whole thing for 531 years. So, with all that being said, we have a choice now. Either we're gonna keep lying to ourselves and keep deluding ourselves and speak out lies that only aid in the extermination of whole families and whole children and Palestinian Christians, because they're being killed off right now as we speak too. Whole bloodlines going back to Christ. Did y'all forget about him? Did y'all forget about him all of a sudden? Wiping out entire bloodlines of those people. We're gonna either we keep deluding ourselves and keep lying to ourselves and not struggle, or we're gonna wake the fuck up, shut the hell up, and actually start getting on the ground, being creative with it, and actually struggling with the people, actually educating each other, making us principled and scientific, standing with the Palestinian people, standing with African people here and back in my homeland, with Boricuas in the diaspora and their homeland, with Chicanos here. I mean, this is their home. This is their home. This is their continent. Hello? Either we are going to keep deluding ourselves towards extinction and not do a damn thing about it, or we're gonna shut the hell up and start struggling for once. Because what's gonna happen is that they're gonna get even more aggressive against us. Not just against indigenous Palestinians. They've already done that. They've already done that since 1948. this is the Holocaust 2.0 because Palestinians are Semites too. So yeah, it's the Holocaust and the Nakba all in one. So either you're going to ignore that or you're going to start struggling.
That's one of the things I find most fucking infuriating about this is it's like, really? The Zionists are doing the same exact shit that the Nazis were doing to Ashkenazi and Sephardi and Romani. Anybody who was not whitest of white Aryans
according to the colonizer, according to the bourgeoisie, because it's racial feeling, right?
Right. And it's really fucked the way that they're trying to play both sides of the coin, because the Zionists are playing both white supremacy shit and playing colonizer fucking like blood quantum shit and going, well, we have this touch of Hebrew ancestry going way back, so God told us this is our fucking land, even though not just Mizrahim and Sephardim, but fellow Ashkenazim are calling them the fuck out, going, what the fuck? You're committing terrorist acts. You're fucking killing our cousins. What the fuck?
And yeah, and Jewish people and Palestinians are once again descendants of the Canaanites. So I don't want to hear nothing about this being that we're being anti-Semitic, of supporting Palestine. Semites, terrorists who can't even go a certain distance on their own land. Are you kidding me?
Right. I saw a cartoon drawing of this the other day that really made it fucking hit home. And it was saying, this is basically a David and Goliath situation, and David being the Palestinians, Goliath being the Zionist state of Israel, and everybody's cheering for Goliath.
Right? Like, I mean, I thought international law worked. I thought that was what the UN was for, but clearly that's a whole lie. That's a big fucking lie. Because, I mean, why is no one else besides what's near Palestine doing anything about it? Because once again, they're complacent. That's the whole point. We have to really think about capitalism this way, because capitalism is not just an American and European phenomenon anymore. Now it's everywhere. And you have a lot of these places made by colonialism that are just puppets to the bourgeoisie that are literally abiding by this. So, I don't want to hear nothing about international law, because international law does not exist. Get it out of your head.
Well, it's ineffective because the United fucking Snakes has veto power stronger than any other nation in the United Nations. And even though the UN has been calling out these fucking atrocities and properly labeling this genocide and ethnic cleansing since the fucking 1970s, every time they have proposed to take any type of action about it, the United States vetoes it. How is it that one fucking government has the ability to veto action amongst countless others?
Because that's the point. They're a monopoly. Like, everyone else is just a scapegoat to them, because they care for no one. They care for nobody. So this is the time that we really need to struggle for once. Because if you think that I'm going to keep living like this, absolutely not. COVID, genocide, Palestine, the Congo, more people getting disabled, being killed, mass shootings again. If you really think that I'm going to keep living like this, you are so mistaken. You are so mistaken. And if you think this is okay, you are just as guilty too. And that is it. Like, there's nothing else to justify this. There's nothing else to justify the extermination of children. Because once again, I thought we were the future. I thought we were the world.
Right. And that's one of those things that I'm seeing so much uproar and backlash out of white Christian Protestant evangelicals that are, Zionists here. getting super salty about the shit because they don't want to be held fucking accountable for it. And it doesn't matter like how much you even show them the numbers of how many Palestinians are Christian and go, you know what, you're funding the murder of fellow Christians. You want to fucking play the victim every time that, you know, it happens in a different place where a Christian church gets bombed and people hiding inside of it from all of the shit are being killed, but you don't fucking care when Israel has just bombed multiple Christian churches right along with the mosques and has fucking killed countless Palestinian Christians. Wait, what? How is that fucking Christ-like? And on that note, I've got to also point out that there are more Christian Zionists in this fucking country than there are Jewish people on the entire fucking planet, and most Jews don't support Zionism. The support for Zionism has always come from the extremely bigoted evangelical fucking extremists. And this goes back hundreds of years. Christian Zionism started in the fucking 1500s. It really started to gain traction amongst Protestant churches in the early 1800s, and that's when they started force feeding this manifest destiny, white supremacist fucking Christian Zionism onto the Jewish communities in Europe, telling them, well, we have the answer here for you to find safety. We've already got Palestine colonized. It's a British colony. How about we just push you in there?
God don't like ugly. Don't forget that.
Nope, and all of this is ugly. It ain't none of it Christ-like. But damn it, they think that if they, you know, push the situation, see, all of this comes back to that manifest destiny shit in conjunction with these fucking, you know, prophecies from Revelations and whatnot. They think that they can force those prophecies to come true by forcing this situation on Palestine, by backing the Zionists there and their fascist fucking regime. They think that doing this fucking atrocious genocidal shit is gonna make Jesus come back in the clouds and fucking sweep them up that much quicker. And it's like,
yeah,
you're
and
okay with millions of
and
people
I want that to
fucking
happen.
slaughtered
Like
for that?
Yeah, and I want Jesus to make a comeback, because as far as I know, Jesus was a revolutionary too. He was whipping the hell out of the ruling class at the time that he was living. I mean, did they learn about
communist
that? Before communism was even a thing? Years before. Did they learn about that in the Bible? Or is it just another convenient mistranslation?
Well, no, most of them don't even know what communism actually fucking means. Of like, okay, housing is a human right, food is a human right, healthcare is a human right, education is a human right, owning the full value of your fucking labor is a human right. That's what communism means. The fucks that, you know, you're talking about not fucking getting it have been mind fucked by Red Scare propaganda for so many decades, and they bought it hook, line, and sinker because, you know, the government could never fucking lie to you, right?
Right. But we're not falling for that no more. So, joke's on them.
Right.
That's all.
Well, I mean, it's a lot. And, you know, there's definitely some more parallels here between that situation and what we read today, all the way down to them desecrating graves, just as they have done here of desecrating indigenous graves. Over there right now, the state of Israel is desecrating Palestinian graves to build more roads, to build more fucking roads.
Oh yeah. And that's the truth. No matter if some of y'all like to ignore that or not, that's the truth. That's your tax dollars. But you want to keep voting harder, right? Because mind you, this will be the last ever election that anyone will ever fucking engage in. Because clearly clearly that was the biggest misfire we had ever made, ever. Clap for that. Clap for that. Clap for that. Now we have no people vomiting on the freaking street. Thank you very fucking much. Thank you very much.
It's all horrendous. In the words of George Carlin, it's all fucked. All bullshit, and it is bad for you.
And that's it.
People aren't even like, I wonder if some of the people who've been commenting on this online even like think before they speak, because I've seen some real shit lips in the last couple of days being like, yes, he's Genocide Joe, but we really need him instead of Trump because Trump bad too. And it's like they're both fucked. They're both fucked.
I mean, Biden already made that very clear.
Revolution, because we're not going to get anywhere voting between two psychopaths.
Or any psychopath, really, because even third parties aren't safe. It's not even enough. It's not even enough anyway. So, like, I don't even want to hear it. And I want to see what the others on here want to say, because it's very, very important that we start talking about this and what we're going to do for our sake, for the Palestinian people's sake, for everyone's sake, because what I'm not going to do is not talk and think that, you know, everything's hunky-dory when, I mean, we already had 7,000 people erased from the civil registry thanks to our tax dollars. So I want to see what everyone else got to say, because I am not going to tolerate this any longer from, you know, anyone. You know, the excuses, the lies, the delusion. No, I want to see what everyone else got to say.
I do too. And yeah, we do still have a little bit of time we can work with. We're at about an hour and a half right now. So the floor is open if anybody else wants to jump in here and give your input on this.
I'm sorry, I can't find the raise hand button for some reason.
It's all good. Go ahead, comrade.
There we go. I have the chat open, like opening. I'm on my computer, and having the chat open apparently like hides the reaction button. There we go. Look, I found it. All right. Hey guys, this is my first time making it to this. Yeah, sorry. So late. I wasn't really aware of what time it started today. Joe sent me the link while I was at my grandmother's birthday dinner, and I got home, so I thought I would get at least the tail end of it. So what do you guys read today?
Give me a second to pull the sections back up here. We started at the piece called Break the Chains and went all the way through to Chief Decolonize Speaks. It was a lot of really moving material, covering everything from missing and murdered children to, you know, the parallels that we were just pointing out with Palestine, the works. Some very powerful pieces today.
Yeah, you know, back in 2001, I did a march with Palestine. I'm in North Carolina, and we did it in the capital, Raleigh. And I thought with some of the oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm like a little like got that food coma thing going on, so my brain is like, but no, I talked to the organizers, some of the organizers about it. They're really happy that, you know, the Brown Beret showed up to do some security and stuff. So, but we were talking about the parallels between, you know, what happened to our ancestors here and what's happening to them there. And I had never really thought about it that way until you brought it up. And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh. And because one of the Palestinian guys was wearing a J shirt, and he came up to me and was like, you know, really excited that, you know, Brown Beret was there and stuff. And but yeah, we were talking about like all of that with one of the organizers, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, I've never thought about that. That's so true. It is so true. And you know, when you talk about like what they're doing with the graves and stuff, yeah, it's like, you know, it's sick because it's dehumanizing us. You know, it's making us out to be monsters rather than actual human beings, and so that's why, you know, they can feel justified in treating us the way. And not to get too far off the topic, today I was actually my husband was showing me this trailer for this new video game that's going to come out in 2025. That's about the Aztec. You're an Aztec warrior fighting the Spanish conquistadors, right? And then I was like, oh man, this is really cool. And then I saw, like, you know how YouTube, like when you see one video shows like related videos to it, and there's this related video where this guy was like saying like the fascist remarks or commentaries about, you know, or how they're so upset. I can't remember exactly what it was, but how basically how fascist people are so upset with this game. I was like, already? I mean, this game is still like years in making. So I watched this video, and it was just all these horrible comments about how, well, can I play the good guys, the Spanish? You know, like, no more child sacrifices, please. You know, and it's like, wait, what? You know, and I mean, I'm not gonna like go too far into it, but basically, it was he had a section. It was really well done YouTube video, because he had a section of like showing what the game was, then showing what the people were saying, and then going back and getting actual history, where I forgot there were certain like Spanish friars that actually recorded more legitimate history that were basically complaining about the horrendous stuff that was happening. There's also Spanish conquistador soldiers that were like, this is too much, you know, and some of their stuff that was talking about, like, you know, and even like some of the Spanish the ruling Spanish houses over back in Spain were like, whoa, this is going too far, guys. But just how they were, you know, trying to say that they were dehuman, you know, they were cannibals and all these lies, all these blatant lies to justify the horrible treatment of this. And, you know, and it's just, there's so many parallels with that, because it's exactly the same thing what they're doing. It's like, because I guess they're not from more of a Christian, you know, perspective or whatever, then fuck them, right? You know, who cares that they're killing kids or whatever, because they're not Christian. So I just feel like this is, yeah, it's the whole Zionist thing. It's the whole crazy this is white supremacy, you know, it really is. This is white supremacy, like, kill more brown people that don't believe in Jesus. You know, that's how I see it. But that's my take on it.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge facet of it. From the beginning of the Zionist occupation, the Zionists there have done things like taking over schools where Mizrahim and Sephardim Jews, the brown and black Jews of the area, where their children were going, and basically feeding them white supremacist ideology, telling them that they're not as good as the white Ashkenazim coming from Europe. And doing the same thing to the white Ashkenazim kids in their schools, telling them, well, being this specific flavor of Jew makes you better. It's really fucked. They have mind fucked kids hard.
You know, once again, I see the parallels there. You know, our people have this identity crisis, right? And I mean, my people, I mean, like, you know, the indigenous people from Latin America, you know, like, so, you know, first they came over, and then, you know, they had babies with the indigenous population. I'll just leave it at that, right? I'm not going to like explain that. But so basically, the mixed children, where they gave the name mestizos to, they're like, okay, so you're better than those evil, dirty, nasty savages over there. So don't be like those people. You need to be like Spanish people, because you need to be proud that you have our blood in us. You'll never be as good as us, but you're better than those savages. And even to this day, people, you know, that are born and raised in Latin American countries, a derogatory name to call someone, when you're saying someone stupid, you call them an Indio, and that means indigenous or Indian or whatever, you know. But that's where it comes from, and it's really crazy because one time I had some friends that were, you know, they're born in Mexico, and one was really light skinned like me, another one had really really like dark native features, more prominent. And I was talking about the brown berets and stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And I was like, "Yeah, because, you know, we're indigenous and we're Native American and stuff." And it was so funny because the light skinned guy was like, "Yeah," but the dark skinned guy was like, "Oh no, I'm not an Indio." I'm like, well, "What? Like, have you looked in the mirror, first of all?" But like, second of all, I was like, "Why is that bad? Like, why do you think that?" He's like, "No, I'm Spanish." I'm like, you know, it was just like this shock of like, wow, that's so ingrained that you feel ashamed to be considered like indigenous, like, and you don't look like you're from Spain, you know. So like, it was just, but no, that's insane how they're doing the same thing to these Jews, and they're teaching them that, you know, it's the same manipulation. And, you know, this is brainwashing. This is population control. This is what has this what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever the term is. I'm sorry. I'm still
Ethnic cleansing.
like, wow. Okay. I wasn't going there, but yeah, no, it is. I didn't think about that, but you're right. I was thinking of the whole. I can't think of the word right now, but you know, it is actually, but it's a form of conquering the people and just conquering their minds into being malleable and to control the masses for their own agenda. But I forgot the terminology for that.
It might boomerang back in a moment. Who knows? But there's another parallel there too that I got to point out of, just as how the colonizer bourgeoisie here tried to commit cultural erasure of the indigenous people here by basically trying to be like, well, no, you're a monolith now. That's the same fucking thing that the Zionists did there with even creating and coining the term Mizrahim, because they wanted to erase Arab roots of Mizrahim Jews, because prior to this colonial settlement, they didn't identify as Mizrahim, they identified as Arab Jews. Why? Because it's Arab blood, no different than our Palestinian cousins.
Right.
One bloodline, you know, but definitely having certain pockets of cultures of like, this is not a fucking monolith. We are talking about Palestinian Arab Jews, Irani Arab Jews, Yemeni Arab Jews, North African Jews, you name it. And they were like, we're just gonna fucking lump you all together and call you Mizrahim because we don't like you calling yourselves Arabic Jews. We've got to, you know, make this distinguishing mark between Jewish versus Arab. And that's kind of stuck in a lot of people's heads, which is why they, you know, look like a fucking confused little puppy, like, huh? When you tell them that Arab Palestinians are Semitic too. So, you know, ethnic cleansing of them is anti-Semitic. Zionism is anti-Semitic.
Absolutely.
And it's so similar to what happened here. It's like they took the US playbook the same way the fucking Nazis did. All the way down to using these things to cause separatism and division. Here, back in like the 1500s, if I remember correctly, from reading Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States, what they did was they saw that poor white immigrants had more in common with indigenous people and black slaves, and that all of these poor people who were being oppressed were coming together and wanting to overthrow the bourgeoisie. So they started playing those race cards and telling the poor whites, well, no, you're better than these other people. So we're going to put you in positions of power, like being the slave master on these fucking plantations. So that way you're not a threat to the bourgeoisie power strangulation over every fucking thing, and cause division there, and try to, keep there from being class solidarity. And it's the same fucking shit that they did there with that mind fuck of, telling Ashkenazim that they were better than Sephardim, that they were better than Mizrahim, that they were better than Arab, when all of the above are Arab. And it's like, what
Yeah,
fucked erasure
yeah.
here?
Also,
It's-
real quick, I gotta head out. My alarm just went off for. I actually have to call Capitan Lobo. And we have a meeting. So I do apologize. I'm kind of jumping in and then jumping out. But it was nice
Okay.
meeting you guys. It sounds like
Nice
it was a
meeting you.
really good
All good.
meeting classroom tonight. And sorry I wasn't able to be here longer. But nice to meet you. Have a good night.
It was
All
nice
power.
meeting you. And yeah, please join us again. Would love to hear more of your input.
Viva la causa.
All power. Comrade Shanti, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, like, and building on, because this is all related to, Nazi ideology. That was why they were coming after the Chicano students of Aslan Club so hard 4 years ago, because they want to make those people think that Aslan is a mythical place, and that, they're just being indigenous for the sake of it, and, they're just trying to take up space, and they haven't had the experience, and that, they're Mexican American instead, trying to, ban mecha in the high schools, and, say that Chicano and Aslan are homophobic words, that they are anti-Black words, that they are misogynistic words, whatever revising of history that they could do to steer them away from who they actually are. Chicanos, not Mexican American Chicanos, because that is who they are. That is where they come from. Aslan and Samanahuac is where they come from. That is their land. They come from here. They did not come from Spanish people. They did not come from Spain. And, these race science constructs, like, the one drop rule, the 3/4 Indian law, the so-called Mizrahim, La Raza Cosmica, because La Raza Cosmica comes from Nazi ideology. The man that created that believed that the mixing of indigenous African blood and the blood of indigenous peoples from this continent, plus the colonizers, and plus Asians, made a so-called magic cosmic race that was really just homogenizing them and committing cultural genocide on them.
Yeah.
And, that man that created that whole concept was deeply influenced by Hitler. So, I mean, that's literally enough said. And this is the other part of it that should be really, really tackled. The reclamation of our real identities, because we have been so homogenized and so stripped of who we actually are, where we come from our bloodlines, with these bourgeois identities, that we run. It's like a prison in your own mind. Like, even if you're a light-skinned Chicano and clearly native, it's that hatred, that fear, that running away, because of the fear that if they reclaim their indigenous identity, then they would be killed. The same words reverberating for the past 500 years. That is what they do. They create that fear so that they can be able to ethnically cleanse you without having to actually kill you.
Right. That cultural erasure is a massive part of that. That's why the white supremacists here did that to indigenous tribes and tried to pretend that it's a monolith amalgam of like you're just, you know, one culture. No, we have
No.
many tribes here with, yes,
And they
some
intermix with each other.
similarities, but very distinct cultural practices. But the white supremacists wanted to erase all of it.
Homogenize them because they think that just being native is just a singular identity. No, it's not. There's Yaquis, there's Choctaw, which I descend from. So people, Odawas, Apache,
Potawatomi, Chippewa, you name it. Yeah.
Mexica, Nawa, Maya, like these groups intermingled with each other. So there's no such thing as a full-blooded Cherokee or a full-blooded Yaqui. It doesn't exist because these groups were already intermixing with each other. Like, hell, one of my Afro-Taino friends who's also Maya is a descendant of different groups that have intermixed with the Tainos and the Mayas in the so-called Guatemalan side or the Salvi side. And there's no such thing as a full native group because they all intermixed in some way with each other. So once again, that forced homogenization of their identity, of their history, which Howard Zinn talks about, which they're trying to ban because, once again, critical race theory is really just historical and dialectical materialism and ethnic studies all in one.
Right. It's just real fucking history that hasn't been whitewashed.
Right. We're actually confronting the real enemy in our story because our story is ever moving forward. It's ever changing. And the enemy has a hold over our story, our destiny, because our history is always in motion. And so with CRT, it confronts it in all areas. It doesn't hold anything back because, once again, you cannot run from the truth. No one can run from it. That's why they're trying to ban it so that we don't know where we come from and who we are and what we can do to take them down once and for all because they've already done it for years. But this is our time for it to really stick and for Palestinians and for Jewish people to reclaim who they truly are and where they actually come from. They're not from a Zionist place that's been around for 1,000 years. They are from Arabia, West Asia. They are from Palestine. That is where they come from. They are descendants of the Canaanites. That is who they are. That is who they are. That is where they come from. And so that decolonization aspect is very, very important because it calls out the enemy on where they are. We have many, many enemies in history. Daley Sr., who's part of the Irish bourgeoisie, whose parents come from the Great Potato Famine, made possible by his oppressors. Once again, I use this as a great example. Daley Sr., who's part of the Irish bourgeoisie, whose parents came from the Great Potato Famine, made possible by his oppressors, England. That is how you defeat the enemy. That's only one part of it, but it's a big aspect of it because you're calling out on who they actually are, where they actually come from, who their ancestors actually are. Because it's only a white identity that they embrace to uphold the bourgeoisie, to uphold capitalist imperialism, to uphold neocolonialism and settler colonialism, period. So that decolonization aspect and also calling out the enemy on who they actually are, where their ancestors actually come from, their story too, is very, very important to do.
Because that's very important to point out that this white supremacist shithole system isn't just erasing non-whites ancestral lines and identity and cultures. It's also erasing that of other whites too. And it's the guy that you keep bringing up, Daly, is an excellent example of that. And it's kind of fucking ludicrous that somebody who survived the potato famine, thanks to indigenous tribes of Turtle Island sending potatoes so that people could survive, because the British was stealing all of the Irish food. They
And
were fucking coming
yeah.
in, robbing everyone of their food. The only reason that the people survived the potato famine was because of solidarity from people right
solidarity.
here on fucking Turtle Island. And he has the audacity to come here and push white supremacist fucking shit that makes him shit. He should fucking study his own history
Oh,
and
he been
understand why the fuck he's still alive.
oh, he been dead. He been dead since 1976. His
Oh, didn't know
yeah.
that. Well, was alive then.
Was
The only
alive.
reason he
Was
got
alive.
born is
Yeah.
because his family survived thanks to the tribes here sending food so that
Right.
people could fucking survive being raped and pillaged by the fucking British. And
Right.
another thought, to bring things around full circle again to some of the stuff we were discussing in today's pieces, concerning this shit over the fucking border and immigration and everything. Another facet of this erasure, which is why they don't like CRT teaching real fucking history, because people would wake the fuck up and go, really? Mexican, indigenous? I am so fucking tired of pointing out to people that the only difference between any indigenous person from this part of Turtle Island versus that part of Turtle Island is, did you get raped by the English and French up here, or did you get raped by the Spanish and Portuguese down there? You're still indigenous.
Italians too, because Columbus is Italian and came to the islands, the Arawak native.
On behalf of Spain, but yes, he was still an Italian.
Yes. So Italians count because the Latin language is in Italy, so it does indeed count. It does count. So it's. I mean, there's really no difference. I mean, they're all part of what eventually became the European bourgeoisie, and there were some Basque people that came with Columbus and engaged in colonialism. That is a fact. Okay, that is a fact. But that is why we have to confront this history, because if we don't, then we're not going to move forward, and we're going to continue being suppressed and collapsing under it, and staying in fear. Some of the Basque did engage in colonialism with Columbus. That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. That's why we learn about it, so that the Basque people can move forward, and so that everyone else that has been impacted by Columbus and by European imperialism can be able to move forward. Because we cannot change the past, but we can indeed have a hand in the future. Right. And that's why we have to teach this, so that we can move forward.
Like, how did people not learn anything? Is there no critical thinking involved, even in the very short statement of those who do not learn their history are fucking doomed to repeat it? No. Like, what the fuck? If you don't know where you've come from, then you're bound to repeat those fucking things. And that's what this system wants is to keep continuation of this bullshit, and keep repeating the mistakes from the past that they want to paint as either didn't fucking happen, or, oh, it's okay, forget about it, it's in the fucking past, when the fucking ramifications of it are still happening today.
It's still happening.
So it's on us to build that capacity for everyone to actually have self-determination, and it starts with education that opens our fucking minds,
unlocking the mind,
our awareness,
unlocking the mind.
Fucking critical thinking, goddammit.
It's critical thinking, because the Nakba is still happening, clearly. The Ma'afa is still happening, clearly. The Holocaust is still happening, clearly. Irish people are still colonized by England, clearly, because the Daly family's ancestors have graced Ireland for 33,000 years. Do they know that? Do assimilated Irish people here know that? Do they know where they come from? Or is it just
Probably
because they
not.
became, or just because they became white that, you know, they're just now a leprechaun caricature and Guinness?
Pretty much. I mean, that's the thing. Those roots have been so fucking whitewashed here that
No wonder why the Irish
people
language is dying.
embrace their Irishness one day a fucking year on St. Patty's Day, which is nothing but a fucking insult, because that was another colonizer fucking massacre, courtesy of the fucking church. There were no snakes on Ireland. St. Patrick did not kill snakes. There have never been fucking snakes on Ireland. He was killing Irish people.
The Irish Gaelic people.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Like, I didn't even know about that. I didn't even knew that about St. Patrick until literally last month. So I'm literally learning, I'm still learning about him and what he did. But you know, it's just another reminder of the erasure of history, of culture, of heritage, of struggle. And you know, no wonder why the Irish language is dying out, because of being so whitewashed and being like anglicized, really.
Right. Literally,
You know,
literally raped and pillaged into it.
right. Like, it's so much history about, you know, how the Irish here became white, and, you know, Irish history in the Caribbean and in South America too, because there's a lot of Irish in Argentina. So, you know, it's the history that we really need to confront. And going back to what we have read, you know, it's a lot of things that, you know, are part of our ongoing story, of our ongoing struggle, our ongoing jihad. And, you know, a lot of things that, you know, we as colonized people, as oppressed people, as subjugated people, as exploited people, have to really confront, you know, the colorism, you know, the tribal politics, the whitewashing, the bourgeois identities that we have been forced to, you know, embrace, you know, all of these things, you know, and even, you know, even the certain nuances, because, you know, the Basque are indigenous people, and some indigenous Basque people engaged in colonialism with Columbus. All that is true. You know, the Irish are indigenous. Yes, some of them did engage in colonialism. That is true. That's why we confront it.
Right. So that we can actually fucking have an understanding of what happened and all of the multifaceted components of this history, because we don't fucking know these things when our only education is the bullshit that we are getting from American exceptionalism propaganda being fucking pushed in the fucking white supremacist capitalist patriarchy fucking education system.
Yeah. And that's really all there is to it. So.
And on that note, we are at 2 hours, so we should probably wrap this up. But another excellent discussion here. We really need to add, on that note, we need to add a people's history of the United States. And I believe the other one is either an indigenous people's history of the United States or native people's history of the United States. I forget the name of it. We need to add both of those to our reading list eventually too, because those are very important to actually expose the fucking truth that you don't get in school.
And actually, there is an Afro-Indigenous history of the United States.
No shit.
Look, it's such a good book. It's such a good book. I haven't finished it yet, but I got to the halfway point of chapter 2, and it's so good. Like, it's so good. And the author is New African and Chippewa. I think.
Okay, I'm excited now because I didn't know this book existed.
Oh yeah. I got y'all. Like, there's an Afro-Indigenous history of the United States. There's an Indigenous people's history. There's a people's history, Howard Zinn, a Black women's history of the United States. Like we got to confront all of it.
Right. Well, it looks like we got a couple years worth of reading ahead of us. But will be well worth it. You know, yeah. Okay. You know what? Since we have a little more room to play with, since we've already decided our reading list for the next year for this reading group, let's bring that up in the UPM reading group, because we got a little more room to play with there. And these books are so fucking important to expose some reality. All
Yes, indeed.
fucking power. Thank you for letting me know about that book.
Much love.
It's going on the list.
Much love. Much love.
Much love to you too. You are our dope ass resident librarian, and I love it.
Yeah, look, my mom was a teacher, so
that explains it.
Yeah, it's in the blood.
Hell yeah. All right, everyone. I love you. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and we'll see you on Sunday for the next section of Johnny's book. And all fucking power.
All power.
All power.